know that real estate provides the highest returns with greatest value and minimal risk? You might want to ask how. You're just about to find out today. This is the Women series where we capture developments and stories that impact women. Happy New Month to you and you and you. Yes, super excited about April and all that April has in store. And we're starting off April with looking at real estate investments. We started off investments in January where we looked at fixed income, we looked at crypto markets, and we learned about money, right? But there's one other thing that we also need to consider, which of course is the real estate investment. I have a beautiful guest in the house to have this conversation with me. Giving you all the gist on how I met with her later, but just before we meet with her, let's go on a quick break and we'll be back.
Tune in to WebTV Daily to stay up to date and informed on the financial market, personal finance, and more. We have got you covered with all your favorite TV shows, economy and politics, market review, women's series, Millennial Talk, Islamic Finance Weekly, The Brief, exclusive interviews, events, and we keep you up to date on all the updates in the financial market with the market opening gong. Watch premium content. Watch WebTV. Same news, different perspective.
Welcome back. This is still the Women series, and we're about to look into the real estate investments, which of course some people have said that the best investment on earth is the earth. Now we're about to find out how, what, why. Any questions you want to know about it, definitely I'm bringing it to you today. I have my guest with me who is a lawyer and the CEO of First Fiduciary, Mercy Edukugho. Amina, yes, I got that name right. Mercy Edukugho, Amina. Hello, Mercy. How you doing?
Hello, nice to talk with you.
Same here. Yeah. By the way, I said I was going to give them the gist of how we met. So this is it. I attended a conference recently, a women wealth creation and real estate. And I met with her. She was so endearing the way she was talking about real estate. I'm like, no. I have to bring this woman on here to talk everything she knows about real estate. I mean, it's a good way. It's a good thing to, because I know the last thing we talked about on investments was that we said we should look into portfolio diversifications, anything that could help to help people to diversify their portfolio, which of course, and real estate is a good one. Real estate is a good one. That's why we're starting this conversation today. How are you, by the way?
I'm very well.
You look good.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Could you go on to tell us why you decided to go into this business part? I mean, just for us to have an idea of what happens in First Fiduciary.
Okay, fantastic. So, First Fiduciary is a private client firm. Where we service high net worth individuals, their family, and we try to provide and take care of their concerns, especially preparing for them when they are no longer part of us on this earth again. So everything that has to do with preservation of their legacy, preservation of their family, preservation of their assets and their wealth. That is what we are concerned about. We provide the necessary advisory. We draft and prepare all the relevant documentation, whether it's a will, whether it's a trust, whether it's a deed of gift, whatever it is, whether it's structuring it as a family holding entity using a special purpose vehicle. We just make sure that if you have assets, no matter what the asset class is, real estate is one of that. Is one of the asset classes. If you have fixed income investments, if you have stocks, if you have bonds, just whatever investments you have and assets that you have, you understand, when you are no longer here, they don't have to go to waste. You can intentionally plan for them. And in planning for them, you can decide who you want to give it to. So we come in to help you to address those concerns you have, and also to ensure that the planning is as smooth, so that you don't leave this earth and you leave chaos. And if you were wealthy, your children or those coming after you go back to penury. So that's really what First Fiduciary does. Yes.
Now, that's a good intro. That's a good one to start with. But I quickly want to take us back to what we talked about during the conference, which, of course, one of the highlights for me at the conference was when we mentioned that the statistics of women taking part in this investment scheme is just less than 10%. And in South Africa, we have almost 52%. I mean, what's going on in Nigeria? Why? What's the gap? What's happening? Is it that we lack information? Is it that, I don't know, do we have like cultural bounds that's holding us back? Because we're so culture bound in this part of the climate, and any little thing we attach so much. Yeah, exactly. So what exactly is happening? Why do we have that low number?
Okay, so the conversation or the statistics around the low adoption of real estate as an investment for women. I mean, we are looking at a figure that is like 10% in Nigeria. And a lot of factors come into play. And you'll be surprised. So one of the key factors that comes into play is the income gap. So you find out that in Nigeria, we still have that challenge of the income. So there is no income parity between a man and a woman. Even if they are doing the same job, and even if they are reporting to the same person, they have the exact same deliverables that they need to meet. So the first thing you look at is you have an income. What's your disposable income? Because really, the disposable income you use for investment purposes. You have to make sure you have a roof over your head. You can take care of your day-to-day. If you have children, you take care of their needs. So your disposable income. So women generally are disadvantaged when it comes to income because there is that gap. There's that gap, and it's a reality. So it's more or less like bridging that gap. If I do the same work, commit the same hours, commit the same resources, and bring the same expertise, why should my male counterpart earn more than I do? So income disparity, the income gap is a major issue, is a major challenge for women being able to have disposable income that they would now be able to commit to investment. And in committing to that investment, now commit to real estate investment. Now, real estate investment for women, you find out that typically women, when it comes to, so you find out that women more often than not defer to the men, to their husbands. So there is that thing of, okay, I support whatever he's doing. He's a businessman, he's a career. I support whatever he's doing. So I'm thinking that he would, in turn, take care of me.
Yeah.
So
we don't think in that line.
Yeah. So it's more or less like women not being in the driving seat of their assets and the wealth creation potentials that they can avail themselves. So there is still that, the man will provide, the man would take care. And you probably have a very low percentage of women taking the initiative to say, I want to be I want to be wealthy and I want to own my own assets without saying,
deference of the husband.
Yes, exactly. I'm deferring to my husband and all that. And like we reiterated at the conference, there is nothing under Nigerian law that prevents a woman from owning real estate assets. There's nothing. So when you talk about it,
let's take that out there.
So when you say the legislative, whether there's a legal environment that prevents a woman, we don't have that. What we have is just the issue of women not being able to, not wanting to accept themselves and say, I want to get this asset and be intentional about it. But that is rapidly changing because right now you're having a lot of women that are working. And you even have women that are working that's very good with all their expertise. They are earning more than the men as well. So you have that So you have that really reducing. But the cultural angle to this within our Nigerian society, it is not prevalent, except you're looking at it from an estate planning perspective. So why do I say that? I say that because there are instances where the man has assets, and the man comes from a locality, a community where if he's dead or he's no longer here,
a woman cannot own
it. The
so it has to be like
a
son.
Yeah. So it's where you have communities where they practice what you call primogeniture, where the first son
has to be the one that
can take over and all that. But if you want to plan it, what you can do is, while you give the first son that house that you have, you can also make sure that you have other assets that you can now distribute, and the women that
have like a share.
Exactly, that the women that are in the family are able to also have those assets. So yes, you do have those limitations on women being able to own assets. So I mean, especially when they come from those communities where the home of the father, that's the house of the father, the house that is built by the father, it deemed to be owned or automatically goes to the first son, and he can decide what he wants to do and all that. But you could also put an estate plan around it that ensures that your female children are not also disadvantaged. In that
I think you've like talked about like most of these things. I mean, it's a good way to start, and I think I have an understanding of why the statistics is low. I mean, first off, there is the income disparity. I mean, you've touched on family, you've touched on people thinking that because they feel like the father is, or the man is maybe the sole protector of the family,
exactly. So that should be his prerogative for him to be
as opposed to the woman also doing something. But let's sell the the real estate market for a bit, so people understand, or women begin to understand, that they can actually do it. There's no barrier to it. There's no limitations to it. I mean, if they can save towards it, if they're looking out for how they can save their money and create wealth, just as we said. I mean, so let's sell it. Let's sell it a bit. So how viable is the market? How viable is investing in the real estate business?
I mean, real estate investment. I mean, I think when we discussed it at the conference, 90% of the wealthiest people on the earth,
made their money off.
They made their money or their wealth was out of real estate. So you cannot say you are a wealthy person without having real estate investment.
Right.
You understand?
So that's like a cheat code.
Yes. So really, a very key part to wealth is the ability to be able to own land and landed assets. It is an integral part, because first and foremost, if you just look at it on our day-to-day activities, I mean, a typical professional, you would know how much you pay for rental payment for your apartment or wherever you're living. Imagine you don't have to do that. It means that if you already have a structure that is your own and you're not paying anything there, it means that you have more income, more funds to be able to commit to other things. So it really does.
That part of your life is
exactly.
settled.
So that part of, okay, where do I put my head? Where do I stay? And everything is settled there. That gives you the presence and the calmness for you to now go and really exploit the world and be able to do all that you aspire to
exactly.
do.
So let's go into how people can access or harness this part of, or women can harness this part of the industry. I mean, when I mean industry, I mean the real estate for investments. How can they? What are the first questions they should ask? What are the things they should do? I mean, say I have like one disposable income somewhere, let's say like 2-3 million, 5 million. What exactly? What are the people I should talk to first of all? How do I go about it?
Okay, so the first thing I would say is don't go alone.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I took out of that.
Yes,
Don't
that's
go
very
alone.
important.
Yes.
Don't go alone. Go with other people so that you can, as much as possible, mitigate the risk that you face. So, where you have women following estate agents to far off places where they would tell you that land is there, but they would have sold that same parcel of land to 3-4 people and all that. So it's always best that you don't go alone. You try to ask around, ask within your immediate community, ask other women like you, and try to understand what's going on. Then you do your research. Then you don't let other parties do it for you. Then what you also try to do is make sure that you have credible, that you understand the pedigree of the real estate developers. You understand? Thank God in this time and age, you can get on your phone and you'll be able to do some research. So you really need to do that research.
But what's the first contact? What's the first contact if you want to do this? What's the first contact?
So the first contact is within your circle. Who are the women that have purchased real estate assets? How did they go about it? What were some would have the good stories, some would have the bad stories. You understand? Then you'll be able to pick from that. So the whole idea is you need to ask, but you have to also make sure that you're asking from people who have lived through that whole journey of acquiring their own asset. Funny enough, it is not impossible. I've managed a client that started her business with just buying and selling. So she was selling fast-moving consumer goods at the very popular Lagos market, at Isaleko and all that. She was selling those things. And over the years, she's really done so well. She started from small volumes and now became a major distributor for different companies. Just name it. Sell within the southeast, the southwest, the north, different places. So she just moves those goods from when they come out from the manufacturing plants. She moves them to different parts of Nigeria and all that, to an extent that she became a reference point for even new businesses that want to come into Nigeria and they want to be able to deal logistics of moving their products around. And part of what she has done for herself is real estate acquisition. Wow. She has significant real estate assets. One thing I noticed from her is that as she's picking a real estate asset, her friends are also picking in that same environment. Right. So that whole thing of not going alone, so you have a friend that is telling you, I've picked this, that same person that I'm using as an agent has this other property and they've picked and all that. So that is really how it goes. Being able to ask people, get into your social clubs, get into women communities where you are able to ask the right questions and be able to get the right guidance. It's very, very critical.
So you don't miss it and then you mitigate the risk.
Yes, exactly. Mitigating. And the best way to mitigate it is look at other people's examples. Look at what they've done so well and where they've had disappointment, and you try to avoid those.
Exactly. Pits. So apart from asking questions, are there other things to do with regards to conducting due diligence?
There's nothing like doing over due diligence.
It can never be enough.
It can never, exactly. So you, as a woman, you want to commit your funds. You need to decide, okay, so there are different classes of real estate investments that you could use. So you have to decide for yourself.
What are the different assets?
Exactly. So you have you have the residential, you have the commercial, you have the retail, industrial, you have the retail. So you need to understand
what exactly you want to do.
Exactly. Where do I want to play within this real estate space? So if you want to talk about the retail, that's really the buy and the sell, where you have the developers building and all that. What you want to make sure is to make sure that whatever development that you're picking off whether it's off plan, whether it's on plan, whatever it is, whether it's an apartment, whether it's a bungalow, whatever type that you're picking, you want to make sure that the developers actually own the land, they have the right title to the land. You want to make sure that the land does not form within government-owned land, or it's not a land that
has been marked,
exactly for excision and all that. So you just want to make sure that you do the checks. You have to go to the land registry, do the checks. You're not buying from quacks. You're not buying from fraudulent people. Then you can ask around the community. There's always somebody that knows something about something. You can ask around the community. There are communities where you have the ballers, so they know. Then you also have to be careful when you're buying. A lot of people that are buying this on moneyless land, you also have to be careful, because the truth of the matter is they do resell. They do exactly. So they just keep reselling. So if they tell you after 1 year, fence it or put something there that
indicates that it's yours.
Indicate that it's yours. Go ahead and do it. So you don't want to leave it, bare land, and you keep dreaming that it's a bare land. Meanwhile, that has been sold like 3-4 times. So really, what you really are concerned about is to ensure that
you have the right information.
Yes, you have the right information. You're speaking to the credible people. You are looking at people that are vast, which is why having that conference was very fantastic, because you could see the credibility of the firms that are there. You understand? So the credibility of the firms, what they've done, their pedigree, and the real estate project that they've delivered on speaks for them. So you are very confident in asking about
questions. Thank you very much. I hope I've done justice to all my questions. I hope I've done justice to helping you ask all the what's, the why, the how, and what else, and the where. Yes, thank you very much for doing this with me. It was great speaking with you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. And that will be all for today's edition of the Women series. I hope you've learned one thing or two. If you've got some sort of disposable income, you're thinking of where to invest or what to do with your money, trust me, real estate is like a good option for you. You should consider doing that. Now, do not wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. And on that note, I end today's conversation. If you'd like to ask questions or you'd like to reach out to me, kindly send a mail to ayomide.oguntoye@appreciate.com. Follow us on our social media platforms showing on the screen. If you'd like to watch more of our videos and read our news stories, log on to www.appreciate.com. And until next time, hopefully we will be speaking more on real estate investing. Thank you for watching.